Hello you lovely people, welcome back to accountinglecture.com. In this particular tutorial, we will go over one of the past paper questions of A Level. It's AQA A Level June 2012. It was a request video from one of our students from East London at Degenham Park School. Okay, the question is worth of 33 marks and quite a few requirements are here. Task number 4, it was the last question. They're asking us prepare the contribution statement showing the maximum profit achievement with the limited labor hours available. This is basically your limiting factor or scarce resources, when your resources are not enough to produce your demand, to meet your demand. For example, we have patterned, striped and plain, 3 products. There must be some resources, maybe labor or machine hour, or could be materials scarce, or the factor which is causing the limit to produce in our full capacity. So this is a situation when resources are not enough to produce the goods to meet the demand. Okay, before we solve the question, bear in mind we follow a few steps, particularly 4 steps, to do questions on limiting factor or scarce resource. I'd rather start with step number 1. You find contribution per unit, yes. How do you do this? Sales less variable cost, yes. Step number 2. You find the limiting factor itself. We'll look for whether machine or labor or material that is causing our demand not to fulfill. And step number 3 is very important. Find contribution per unit of limiting factor. Okay, contribution per unit of limiting factor. How do you find it? You do contribution per unit divided by limiting factor per unit. Per unit. Okay, so limiting factor per unit could be either kg, it could be all labor hour, or it could be machine hour. We'll look for what is our limiting factor over here. And then the 4th step is ranking. Okay, note all this down. We'll jump into the question. Then this board will be clear and we will be doing our works. Okay, let's jump in the question. And it says Stuart Turner owns a factory manufacturing 3 types of wallpaper. Okay, good. Patterned, striped and plain. The following information is available for the 3 types of wallpaper. They give us selling price, good direct material 6 per meter. That could be our limiting factor, we don't know. If it's 6 per meter and per unit it requires 18 divided by 6, you do a bit of working here. 3 meter you need to produce 1 unit, so thus the other one divided by 6, you get 2.5. Whether we need or not, we still do it. We never know, we might need it or maybe not. Divided by 6, you get 2. So to produce 1 unit of patterned, you need 3 meter. To produce 1 is striped, you need 2 striped, you need 2.5 meter. And plain, you need 2 meter. Each meter is 6 pounds. So the per unit pounds are given. Direct labor is 12 per hour. So to produce patterned, it needs 12 pounds. So 12 divided by 12, 1 hour you need. 9 divided by 12, my calculator says you need 0.75 hours, and 6 divided by 12 you need half an hour, which is 0.5 hours. Okay, expected demand is given 100,000, 80,000 and 60,000 for plain good. The factory is operational for 13 periods a year. So in 1 year, 12 months, we work for 13 periods. Good. Each period consisting of 4 weeks. Better. The staff work a daily 10 hours shift. They work long. 5 days a week. All right. Stewart currently employs 50 staff. All right. So you know this information, you need to multiply and multiply it all of it to get how many hours are available. Yeah. Okay, and the business operating at full capacity, but demand cannot be fully satisfied due to the limited labor hours. This is our step number 2. Find the limiting factor. Our limiting factor is labor hour. Let's calculate how many labor hours are there. They give us, rather erase this bit to make some room. Okay, taking my pen. Okay, 10 hours per day times by 5 days a week times by, if you remember, 4 weeks, and times by 13 period, and times by 50 staff. Okay, you got to do it to get how many number of labor hours available. You'll find from your trusty calculator is 130,000 labor hours available, and this is limited because our demand, we cannot meet it. We need to work on it, like how you cannot meet the demand. For example, your pattern requires 1 labor hour, so 100,000 is the demand times a 1 labor hour equals to, you need 100,000 labor hours. Your striped needs 80,000 units they want to produce, and 0.75 of labor hours needed times by 0.75. You will see that you require, let me take my trusty calculator here, 0.75 times by 80,000, you require 60,000 labor hours. Okay, and for plain, I'll just remove it to make it clear that how many units we're going to produce. 60,000 is the demand times by 0.5 is per unit requires, so 30,000. So if you add 100,000 plus 60,000, it gives 160 plus 30,000, you requires 190,000. But how much you have? 130,000. There is a gap between these two, so 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 60,000 labor hours you have less. That is your limiting factor. All right, guys, now we have some figures here, sales and variable cost. So we got to do our first step, contribution. Now I will clear the board now. You must have taken these notes, and then we will move on and put the scenario into our steps 1, 2, 3, 4. Just bear with me. Okay, the board is fantastic, much clearer now, better than before. And what is this? Okay, I fixed the problem now. Okay, technology has some good and bad sides. Let's get started again. Now we need the contribution. So we have patterned, PT, striped, ST, and plain PL. Money signs. So I'm looking for the contribution. So selling price is 42, direct material, direct labor, 18 should be minus, and 12 should be minus. I get my contribution per unit. So 42, my calculator says minus 18 minus 12, you get 12. The other one is 36 minus 15 minus 9. Where I'm taking this information from? Here. And the third one. So the contribution for my second one is 36 minus 15 minus 9. I get 12 as well. Good. And plain 28. Yes. 28 is the selling price minus 12 minus 6. I get, I think it's 10. Just double checking. Minus 12 minus 6. Yeah. That's my contribution. So, step number 1, find the contribution. Found it. Step 2, we find the limiting factor. Found it. LFCM, contribution margin. Now, it's time to apply step number 3, contribution per unit of limiting factor. Okay, so contribution is 12. And limiting factor, if you remember, we did this divided by 12, we got 1. So limiting factor is 1 over here. So divided by 1, you get contribution per unit of limiting factor is 12 pound. You did the same thing over here as divided by 0.75, and you get a contribution per unit of limiting factor 12 divided by 0.75, you get 16. And you do this divided by contribution per unit of limiting factor. If you remember, this divided by 12, we get 0.5, 0.5. So you get 20. Yes, you do get 20. Our step number 4 was ranking. We're going to check which one is giving us highest contribution per unit of limiting factor. Clearly, plain first, ranking second, striped, and ranking third, pattern. So as much as a plain we can produce, we're going to produce. So 60,000, you're going to produce any hours remaining. We're going to produce striped any hours remaining. We're going to produce patterned. All right, so let's go a bit of bottom and do the optimum production planning. So for optimum production planning, hours available. Okay, I'll take this whole figure. Yep. Labor hours available, if you remember, it is 130,000 hours. Now, you said plain, you're going to produce as much as you can, 60,000. Each requires 0.5 hours. So 30,000 hours gonna go off here. These are all labor hours. How much is remaining? 100,000 labor hours. Of that was the first ranking. Then the second ranking was striped. And the demand, if you remember, 80,000 of each unit requires 0.75 labor hours. So we worked it out before, just double checking. 80,000 times by 0.75, you need 60,000 labor hours. That's true. So if 60,000 gone, how much is remaining? 40,000 labor hours. Now, of these 40,000 labor hours, how much, the third one, patterned, you can produce? 40 divided by 1, because each of patterned requires 1 labor hour. So you can produce 40,000 units. Although your demand, have a look over here, is 100,000, you cannot produce all of it. You can only produce 40,000 just to maximize the profit. So this is your optimum production planning, 60, 80, 40. So far, all of these are workings. Now, we will jump into the main question, contribution statement to maximize the profit. We have done all our workings. Now, the main bit would not be that much difficult. Let me take my eraser and clean the board. All right, the contribution statement is just like a income statement. They said the profit. So CM, contribution margin statement. Okay. What do you start with? You start with the patterned. How much of the patterned you said you're going to produce? 40,000. And each patterned gives you 12 pounds of contribution. So you'll get the total figure over here. 40 times by 12, we get 480,000. You do patterned, then striped. We'll produce full of the striped because we can produce 80,000 times by each striped. It's giving you £12 contribution. So the total contribution you're getting is 960,000. And plain, we're going to produce 60,000, we said, in our optimum production plan. And each of it is giving us £10. So 600,000. That's our total contribution. If you add up, is going to be 2040,000. Of that, if you remember, we have a fixed overhead over here. Yep, that should be taken away. This is your total contribution, total CM or contribution margin less fixed cost, which is 1.8 million. Yeah, you deduct, you get 240,000 is the profit. The first requirement is done. Okay, moving to the second requirement. Number 12, we just have done it, doesn't it? Yeah, we did. Okay, second requirement, calculate the annual profit or loss if the part-time staff are employed. There's a bit scenario we need to read to do the second requirement for 7 marks. Stuart wishes to meet the total demand for all 3 types. You remember, like for the pattern, we could not meet the 60,000 of those items because of shortage of labor hour. Now we want to produce those hours. Okay, we have given with option 1 and option 2. Option 1 says the employ part-time staff during the winter periods. The demand is at a seasonal peak. The part-time staff will be paid 8 per hour. Okay, that's good. Lovely, no problem. So if we employ the part-time employees, so 60,000 we want to produce, and of this 60,000, if you remember, we are selling each for 42. At the top I will show you. Yeah, 42. And material is 18 minus 18 and 8, not 12 anymore. So you need to minus 8. Basically, of this 42, you go to minus 18 and 8. So 42 minus 18 minus 8, you're getting a contribution of 16. 16, you multiply with 60,000. We're just doing working, so you can do workings like this, no problem at all. That was the other question. So 960,000 extra contribution we are getting from this particular option. That sounds good. So if we produce and sell the 60,000 and pay £8 per hour the part-time employees, we are still making a fantastic contribution. We already have that much of contribution. So 2040,000, you get your total contribution minus fixed cost. This is number 13 we're doing, bear in mind, started here. 1.8 million. If you deduct, your profit is much better. I think 1.2. Add less. Yep. 1.2 million. That's true. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Good. That's your profit if you choose the part-time employees and produce those 60,000 units. Okay, you have given another option, number 14. We're going to do over here, number 14. Calculate the annual profit or loss if deficit stock is bought in. If you don't produce those stocks, rather you buy and sell. What is your deficit pattern, doesn't it? You can buy it for 36. Rest is striped and all these are none of our concern. Cross it, yep, cross it, just to make it confused. All right, so you can make it for 36 and you can sell it for £42 minus 36. How much you are making? Get my calculator. It says 6. Wow, good. Still better. £6 you can make, and if you sell 60,000 items times by 60,000, you're gonna make 360,000 contribution, and that's better, not bad. But compared to the other one, is it good enough or not? Let's calculate. All right, so that's the contribution, and the old contributions are still going to be this 204000. Okay, that much contribution we're going to make anyway because of selling the other. So old contribution, you can write old contribution margin. Yep, that's your total contribution less your fixed cost are gonna remain fixed whatsoever happens. So it's 1.8 million fixed cost. 1 million, let me calculate, and what I get is 600,000 is the profit if we choose the facility stock to buy from others. So this is your 14 done, 13 done, 14 done. Last question is recommend which option should meet the demand, give reason, your choice. Okay, look, according to me, if we employ part-time employees, fantastic, better, much profit, double than if you buy from the other. So I hope the theory question you can do. I hope you liked it. It's a request video, and we are here always to help you, and keep practicing, keep working hard. If you like it, again, I'd like to share with you more works. Just you need to do comment and share with your friends, because this is what gives us more inspiration to help you more. All the best.